You may disagree, but up to me, it's a fact. You're paying running backs, it ain't no fun in that. Yeah, the sermon about to start, so I hope you know your stats. And if Kev get it wrong, then Rashad on his back with the facts. Matter of fact, all we do is say wins. When wings, congregation say amen. Trades, debates, wins, losses, the latest.
Welcome to Preach Kev Preach with Rashad. We are the prophets. In the episode, another sermon coming at you from Wildcard Sports here on Wildcard TV. Rashad, what's going on, man?
Man, it's been a good summer, man. We got the U.S. capturing gold.
Yeah.
You know, we brought home the most total medals, the most gold medals. So it's been a good summer. You got guys, of course, we've been talking free agency for a minute. A lot of big contracts got signed, but once free agency clears up, you already know what time it is. It's NFL time, man. We're about ready to start kicking this thing off.
I'm about to say I had to bring Randy Moss to the set, man. I had to put my boy in the background when the NFL talk come around, man. It's an exciting show. We've been talking about this, man, for the last 2 years, and I feel like now is like we got to push. We got to start pushing it. We got to start pushing everybody and making everybody understand. Like you can really predict everything from the preseason with no injuries included. Then mid-season come, you can redo it, reassess, reevaluate, and then when it come down to it, you can predict the playoffs easily. Now, whether you could predict the seeding, hey, we'll talk about that later. But if you could predict who makes the wild card, I mean, a couple years ago you had 49ers based off this theory going, and they went to the Super Bowl. Last year in our theory we had the Browns go after not making it how many years, and they made it. So, this theory is real. I believe in it. You believe in it. This is like our division breakdowns for each show. This is the AFC South. Where it's been a crazy, like this division is just I wouldn't even say
they got a lot of headlines going on right now, man. Good and bad. They got a lot of headlines going on right now.
Good and bad. So before we get into it, let's break down the private theory one more time for everybody who didn't listen to our last year's shows. The private theory, man, based off this. Do you have a top 2 coach in the division? Do you have a top 2 quarterback in the division? How good is your roster? And other factors like your schedule. How do you have a first place, a second place, a third, a fourth? And when we get into all the shows, you'll see, okay, a third ranked quarterback in this division ain't as bad as being a third ranked quarterback in another third coach in another division. Like it just all depends on the level, the names, how good somebody is, because some divisions are stacked and some are not. And I think that's why we started with the AFC South, where these are one of the divisions that is not stacked. But like you said before, you had a lot of headlines. Let's you think you just want to add before we get into it?
No, let's get into it, man.
All right, man. We're gonna start with the Houston Texans. Last year, 4-12. Obviously, the biggest headline is Desean Watson, who, we top 5 quarterback in the game. He set records last year, and they only won 4 games. So what happened since then? Well, Desean Watson asked for a trade. He hasn't got traded yet. Will he play? We don't know. So I think it's best that we separate that going forward. I don't think he's playing. Like I really don't see him stepping on the field as a Texan. You can't do it. Say what you said, do what you do, and then kind of moonwalk it back, and now you're playing for the Texans again. But in that time frame, lost J.J. Watt, pretty much lost Will Fuller. He left. I'm trying to think of other departures, but they lost a lot of guys, and did they replace it? Not really. They had the draft picks to replace it. So I'll let you. I'm kicking you first on the Texans.
Like the old saying goes, man, Houston, we have a problem. I mean, in the last couple of years, when you say Houston Texans, you think about disaster.
Yeah.
Of course, in the world perspective, they did have a disaster with a flood and things like they had that happen from a world perspective, but just from the football perspective, you have lost your heart and soul, J.J. Watt. You traded one of the best receivers in the game currently, DeAndre Hopkins. Even just guys like Jadeveon Clowney, who were kind of with you for a couple of years, you lost him, never replaced him. You mentioned Will Fuller, elite speed wide receiver. Even though he's never always been healthy, he's always been a staple to take the roof off the defense at some point and put up some numbers. So you lost Will Fuller. And, of course, Bill O'Brien, GM, coach, he's out of there. So you lost a lot of things. And then now you're on the brink of losing that last thread, which is Desean Watson. Top 5 QB in the game. He's basically said he's not going to play this year. But this past year, career numbers, 4,800 passing yards, 70% completion percentage, 33 TDs, 7 INTs. And that was only good enough to get you 4 wins. So
that's crazy.
We're looking at Desean Watson facing, I think, over 20 civil cases off the field, plus the stuff that's going on the field with him trading his Clemson brother Hopkins, no Will Fuller. He's threatened to not play another down for the Texans, and I can see why.
He got to stay with it.
Russ made some demands to get a better O-line. Rodgers, Brady, these other top QBs have thrown their weight around to get some things to happen. Meanwhile, Watson was putting up 11 and 10 win seasons, getting sacked, getting hurt. The man couldn't even fly on the plane to certain games. His health was getting so bad. So we know the Texans are going to have a bad year. Roster-wise, not the best. Watson's not going to play, so you're looking at Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills being your QB. That's not going to cut it. You got a great RB by committee. Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, David Johnson.
It's nice.
I think Burkhead's over there. So you got a nice little committee, but everything else, O-line is terrible. Defense is not even top 20.
Top 20.
Brandon Cooks, your best receiver.
It ain't top 25 either.
Yeah, you got Brandon Cooks, your best receiver, so you don't even have an elite wide receiver core. So Houston has a problem, man, and it's at all levels.
Now,
from organizational to roster.
I'll give them this: they got a great left tackle, and Larry Tunsil. They traded first round picks for him. They actually got a nice receiving core on the rise. Like this is all potential. With you drafting Nico Collins, you traded for Anthony Miller. They got opportunities now. They got a lot of receivers over there. Now, whether it does anything on the field, we're gonna see. You don't have the special talent of Watson throwing in the ball, but you have the special. You have the potential of having Brandon Cooks, who can be a 1,000-yard receiver, with Anthony Miller and Nico Collins, who's 6'4". So you got everything. You got the running back committee that we actually like, at least like Phil Lindsay, Johnson, like they dogs. Like Ingram, that's he gonna run. So. But like you said, the defense not top 25. We still got Merciless Whitney Merciless over there.
Hey, we'll give them a little credit. They made a few moves in the offseason. They brought over Desmond King, Jordan Jenkins, Christian Kirksey. Like they made a couple of
good veteran moves,
signings in the offseason.
Yeah, I like it because you still got what people don't know and this is why Texans maybe even whatever win total we got with them, which we'll reveal. Why they might get an extra one because of the coaching staff. Like David Culley, his first year, he was the passing game coordinator for the Ravens last year, but he got Lovie Smith over there. That's a DC, so he got some experience on that side of the defense, and with a veteran. And I think the OC, what's the is it Pep Hamilton? I think it's the dude from the AFL. Now I gotta look it up now. At AFL, what was the last XFL? That's what it was. XFL. Texans OC. Is it Pep Hamilton? Tim Kelly. Never heard of him. So we'll see. But Lovie Smith is a good addition. He got some coaches on the staff though that can help him along the way. But the Texans, man, shit, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Bro,
it's gonna be tough.
I am not a psychic, but I definitely think the number one pick is in the Texans' future.
All right, so doing our rankings. So where do you have the Texans QB and coach right now?
Amongst their division, they're last. Okay. Amongst the NFL, they're last.
We hey, we the same. So we got they number 4 in QB, number 4 in coaching. Roster. Now we have a different grading system for those who don't know. When you have a roster, A+ roster, you get a low number, and when you have a bad roster, you got a high number. All right, the numbers go from 1 to 6. So what grade did you give the Texans roster?
Ooh, the worst you could give it, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, so we got the same thing across the board. The board. And as we went through the schedule, it's not a pretty thing. They had a 3rd place schedule. So I guess if you want to, it's games you want to highlight, the Jets. But I have Texas only 1 or 2 wins. The Vegas has them 4. So I think that's too much. You won 4 games with Watson. There's no way. There's no way.
Like, bro, I'm looking at it like this. Their defense allowed the 3rd most rushing yards last year, and they allowed the most rushing. Well, they allowed the 3rd most rushing touchdowns. They allowed the most rushing yards in the league, and they had the fewest interceptions. And now you don't even have Desean Watson. Those 3 stats from last year alone, plus the Watson factor, to me, that makes this an easy under bet. If Vegas had to sit at 4, 4.5, you have to take the under.
You have to take it. You have to take it. Had to.
Like looking at their schedule, I mean, I can only see possibly 2 wins, and that's just because you're thinking, okay, we saw last year where Jags were projected to be the worst team. They stole the first one against the Colts. We won, and so Houston plays Jags. We won, so they could steal that one. But after that, I mean, just real quick: Cleveland, Panthers, Bills, Patriots, Colts, Cardinals, Rams, Dolphins. If you don't win your first game, you're going to the bye with a dope. Yeah, after the bye, real quick: Titans, Jets, Colts, Seahawks, Jags, Chargers, 49ers, Titans. On the back end, I'm looking at just possibly Jets because they have a rookie QB, rookie head coach. You may be able to catch them slipping.
That's the only Jags twice is your best opportunity to get 2. And I don't think they win both. Like that's demoralizing.
I'm thinking best case you can split with the Jags and maybe beat the Jets. That'll get you 2. But I have Houston at 1-16, and I barely gave them that 1 against the Jets. I almost put them 0-17. They've been the first 0-17 team underneath the new format. So I almost did it, but I don't expect. I was like, they may better catch another rookie QB slipping and get that one.
That's crazy because I had the Jaguars 0-16, and they won the first one, lost the rest. So you may be onto something as far as like if they win that first one, it give you an opportunity that they could get another one. But like you said, they lose that first one. It's going to take a letdown. Like I don't think Cleveland does. The only teams that all you named that's like not a Super Bowl caliber team or a playoff caliber team is like maybe the Panthers, the Cardinals because based off the division, and like you said, the Jets. And that's your 4. So I don't think they beat Carolina. I don't think they beat Arizona. So I almost gave them 2. But I'm roll with you 1-16 for the Houston Texans.
It's basically, I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, we know any offense being operated by Tyrod always has limitations.
Oh, it's gonna be
you're combining that with a bad defense. That's recipe for disaster because you can't play air it out ball. You can't play catch up ball. And you don't have a defense to lock anybody up. So when you combine a limited offense and a bad defense,
I feel bad for Tyrod. I guess if history repeats itself, Davis Mills is going to be a good quarterback. Tyrod got replaced by Baker and Justin Herbert, and they both good. So like if at least Texans got a future, if that's what you want to roll with, that's just hang your hat on that one, I guess. So I mean, Davis Mills will be if Tyrod there, Davis Mills will come in the game at some point. So they're gonna tank after they already tanking. They're gonna keep tanking. They're They're gonna keep losing, and then you know what? We might well lose to the rookie quarterback. Then that's what they're gonna do. So that's enough about Houston because they sorry as hell. Let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. 11-5 last season. Made the playoffs. No, did they make the playoffs?
They made the playoffs. They lost a competitive game to the Bills.
That's right. I was scared. I thought Bills were gonna blow it again to another AFC opponent. But
we had a bet on that one. Now I was rolling with the Colts, and you had the Bills.
That's right. So Colts 11-5, almost won the division. Tiebreaker situation, but they didn't win that one. So Vegas totals 9 wins. For the upcoming season. So what did the Colts do? They brought in Carson Wentz. Phillip Rivers retired. You got Jacob Eason as a quarterback. With Carson Wentz being injured as of this show being aired, and he's out 5 to 12 weeks, so he's going to miss a couple games to start the season. So we already put that into play for our playoff profit theory. So really the only thing about the Colts, man, I think we both can agree that they have a pretty good roster from top to bottom. Darius Leonard just got paid. You got DeForest Buckner up front, the offensive line. Even though Quentin Nelson got the same exact injury Carson Wentz has. That's crazy. So
he has injury too.
And he has so he got 5-12 weeks too. So that's crazy. They got the exact same injury. So but Jonathan Taylor, T.Y. still there. You got emerging Michael Pittman Jr. So you got a lot of options, a lot of talent on that roster. And to me, I want to ask you this: if Carson Wentz come back, how good is he going to play? Because we have 2 ranges: MVP Carson Wentz, and I need help. I'm at the bottom. I got to run for my life, Carson Wentz, and we got to find the happy medium. Or obviously the Colts won the MVP version, and then what playmakers emerge? The T.Y. still have it. The Ali Cox at tight end help. Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack back. So how can this Colts offense take off? Because if the defense is just playing, good to solid, can this offense take them to that next level?
The Colts are in a very, very interesting spot. The Colts are working in a new starting QB for the 3rd time in 3 years.
It's crazy.
So, crazy. And if you want to think about it, you could say 4 because, of course, they had Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers. They were working in Carson Wentz, but now you're going to probably go Jacob Eason, and then you're going to put Wentz in at some point.
Right.
So we really can say 4 in the last 3 years. They went and got Carson Wentz because of his prior relationship with Frank Wright with the Eagles. A problem Wentz had was staying healthy, lack of an offensive line. What's been the Colts' strength? The offensive line.
Perfect.
So, you're hoping you can repair before this injury. You were hoping you can repair Frank Wright with Carson Wentz and recapture that 2017 MVP-esque, should have won an MVP anyway, that recaptured that magic. So they are in quite a predicament, man, because you don't know how Wentz is going to come back off surgery, timing-wise, cardio-wise, because it's your leg. You can't do cardio right. with a lower body injury. So he won't have the timing it's not like he's been there 3-4 years with the guys. He won't have the timing, the rapport with these guys. So it's going to be a factor of how long do they go with Jacob Eason. Their schedule starting off is not the prettiest.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, the Colts have I think their starting off point is going to be what turns their season. Like this could be a 6-win team, 8-win team, or 10-win team. It all depends how their first, 8 weeks shake out. That's the Seahawks, Rams, Titans, Dolphins, Baltimore, Houston, 49ers, and Titans. Like, how do you come through that stretch? Because you're going to have Easton start his first couple of games. So he hasn't played
Seattle and the Rams his first 2 games.
You're gonna go in against the vaunted the NFC West. That's Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers in the first couple of weeks, and then you're gonna have both of your division matchups right there too, because you're gonna play Titans week 3 and Titans week 8. So, and then you have on the road to Baltimore. So I think
they are
they are in a tough predicament, man. Like their roster is constructed great. You mentioned the playmakers. Ty, he's been always injury prone, starting to show a little bit of age, but you still have the promise of Mike Pittman Jr., the promise of Paris Campbell, Zach Pascal, Jonathan Taylor had a phenomenal year last year, one of the RBs I like. Matt coming off injury, so I'm a little iffy on him, but you still have Naheem Hines of the change of pace back, Jack Doyle, Mo Ali Cox. So, I'm not big on like winning percentage because it's based upon last year, but their schedule on the back end gonna be kind of favorable based upon some of the games, but it's just every game counts. You gotta get to that first half of the season. Those first 8 weeks is gonna be tough, and you still gotta figure out when do you reinsert Carson Wentz once he's healthy. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna be a key point. And I think if they do reinsert him, you do it after week 8 when you get the Jets and the Jags.
Yeah, so with that schedule, I actually had them starting off 0-5. Like Seattle Rams because it's gonna be tough with Eason, and on top of that is no Quentin Nelson. Like I think it's a crazy stat for Jonathan Taylor or just the Colts backfield in the whole when they run to the left. They get before they get in touch, it's like 4 or 5 yards per contact, and when they run to the right, it's like 2 yards. Well, if Quentin Nelson not on the field at all on the left, it's not going to be pretty sight. So if you can't run the ball effectively, and you have to rely on Easton arm, how are you going to beat a Stafford? How are you going to beat a Russell Wilson? As far as then on the flip side, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey coming through that's just gonna be tough. And then at Tennessee was a team that you already struggle with as it is, and then on the road against Baltimore and Miami back to back. Like I said, that's just too hard for me to overlook. And you started 0-5. I gotta beat the Texans, of course, and then you got Tennessee again as 49ers. So it's tough. And like you said, if they can manage and win 3 games or maybe 4 out of the first 8. You're talking about one of the best teams in the league when it's all said and done, because like you said, the back of the schedule is favorable. So as far as record wise, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league if they can win 3 or 4. But if they win 0, they'll be right in the middle of the pack, which is what I got them at 8-9.
Yeah, I have them getting somewhat hot on the back end. I have them just one more win, 9-8, but I do have them starting off pretty rough. Not 0-5. I respect Frank Wright's coaching ability and their defensive ability to start off that bad. Like, I think they'll start off 0-2 for sure, possibly 0-3 with the Titans, but I think they can at least one of those road games, they'll be a W. So Tennessee and Miami, I think they'll win one of those road games, probably against Miami. Tua still got to figure it out. So I think they can take that one. Of course, I think they can beat Houston. And I think at some point they'll split with Tennessee. Well, they win the first one, for the second one, I think they'll split with Tennessee. So I have them with 3 wins during that first 8 weeks. So you're treading water. You're kind of just holding steady, trying to hold a fort down
right
before the flood, because then you can kind of weather the storm and get your Jets and Jags some easier wins. And now you're preparing to turn the corner to go over 500. And then maybe around the bye, if you can be 6-6 at your bye, this week 14 is their bye. So if you can be 7-6 going into your bye, that's pretty good, because you should be able to win 3 of your last 4 after the bye and be a 10-win team. So I think they'll be right around where we have them, between 8 and 10 wins. It all just depends upon how the schedule shakes out, matchup wise, injury wise, and of course when guys come back.
Carson Wentz is a starting quarterback. Where do you rank Carson as far as this division?
Coming into it, I thought he was going to be number 2. Of course, we took Watson out of the equation. So I thought Wentz would be number 2 right behind Tannehill. But now with the Colts, with him coming off injury and the Jacob Eason factor, I like Jacob Eason a lot. I think he's going to be able to hold the fort down. I think by default, you may have to just take the talent of Trevor Lawrence right now. Even he had surgery. So it's really Tannehill versus the field.
It's crazy because even before the Carson Wentz injury, I had Trevor Lawrence second, and we'll get into the Jags in a second. But so I already had the Colts at 3 penciled in, and that's probably more respect toward Tannehill and more respect toward Trevor Lawrence than it is a knock to Carson Wentz. Because I like Carson Wentz. I think I always say this: Frank Wright won that Super Bowl for the Eagles. I don't care. Like it's you put Frank Wright and Carson Wentz together, I think magic can happen if healthy. And like you said, O-line stand up right and he's healthy. The show it's a show now. So let's go right to the Jags. Urban Meyer, he's back, man. He's back. Urban Meyer is back. Trevor Lawrence, Sunshine is the QB now. The Jags still a rebuilding team. Urban Meyer said, I don't know if you caught that quote. He was saying, this is not a 4-year plan with Trevor Lawrence. This is a 1-year plan. And I'm like, that's a lot of expectations you're putting on. But however, I love the direction that they're going. I didn't like the reports about CJ Henderson possibly getting traded. I don't know what that's about. But we got Josh Allen on defense. He's a stud. And CJ Henderson, who I actually like, but offensively, like this is how you prepare your quarterback for the best situation. You give him a talented running back, his teammate in college, Travis Etienne. You still got James Robinson. Then you give him Marvin Jones, a savvy veteran, like underrated. You got DJ Chark. Then you got Laviska Shenault from last season. So they got guys who can make plays. You could throw Matt Stafford leaned on Marvin Jones a lot. Throw that up.
Oh, yeah.
He gonna go get it. All right. And then you got DJ Chark, who's a speedster down the field and also 6'4", and Shenault, who's just like one of those like gadget guys who you can put him anywhere and he's gonna get something done. So you got the pieces. I'm very interested to see how the Urban Meyer offense is gonna run, and that's what I'm gonna trust for the Jags is offense only. Like I don't think the defense is there. I think it's another team that's not top 25 in defense. So that's going to be a struggle. And can Trevor Lawrence be the Mahomes where he's outscoring? He putting the team on his back and they're playing good football. That's where we have to see. I got him ranked second in my QB. Follow that up with Urban Meyer. I got ranked third as a coach in the division. We'll see how that matches well going forward.
It's a new era in Jacksonville, man. It's a new era. Urban Meyer, I think he's one of the best college football coaches ever. And it's just an interesting thing, man, to make that transition right now at his age. Of course, he had health concerns throughout his college tenure. He's dominated his era, winning championships at Florida, winning a title at Ohio State. Undefeated seasons. I mean, he's put guys in the league like Alex Smith as his QB. Zeke Elliott. He's coached
Great.
Elite talent.
Yeah.
So his coaching ability cannot be questioned. It's just the fact that he's never done it on the NFL level where these guys are on scholarship and now these guys you're coaching, they're making sometimes more than you. So, I think the biggest thing Urban here to do first is to establish a culture. Like the Jags have been perennial losers. Outside of the 2017 year where they made the AFC Championship, they haven't had a winning season since 2007 outside of that season. So, you're looking at perennial bottom dwellers. Like they need a culture change badly. Jacksonville is perennially in the top 5 to 10 in the draft, and they've drafted great players. You talked about Jalen Ramsey a little while ago. Like they've drafted great players, but they've never had a QB to kind of put it all together. That's
what it is. They didn't draft the QB right. It's like what is it like if you
they've had Blaine Gabbert, they've had Blake.
Oh,
Bortles,
they messed up twice.
And then they signed Nick Foles with all that money, and that course didn't work out. Oh. So the Jaguars have been missing on QB. They've always drafted pretty good talent other places. They just never had a chance to hit on QB. So let's see what Trevor Lawrence can do. I don't foresee there being any controversy with the Tim Tebow thing. That's kind of like just a gimmick signing because he's I like that. He's an urban Meyer guy from Florida.
Veteran.
Their all season got to a rocky start. They had to fire one of the coaches. for some off the field things.
We'll leave that there.
Yeah, we won't deep dive too much into that, but the Jags have had a few things come up this offseason. So, like we said at the beginning of the show, man, this division has had headlines on and off the field. So, the main thing we have to see is how good can Trevor be. He had a little surgery too, so let's see how good he's recovered from that, and what kind of culture can Urban Meyer set, because this isn't a revolving door of 2-3 years, players out, new guys in. This is you got to build this thing through the draft, through free agency, through trades, and it's going to be a different level with grown men versus 19, 20-year-old college kids. Granted, their roster is kind of young, college age guys, so that may make the transition for Urban a little bit easier. But this is going to be an interesting team, man.
You made a great point about the drafting part, and I don't want to take too long on it, but when you look at the Jaguars, and when you think about just when you go around the league, and I give you this two examples: the Packers, the Jaguars. What have the Packers done the last two? Like when they drafted the quarterback, when they drafted Brett Favre, when they traded Brett Favre, but he was a staple for so long. Rodgers was a staple for so long. Like you didn't have to worry about anything. Whether you bring in free agents, whether you sign, whether you messed up on the receivers or the corners or the defensive line, it was all right because the QB's gonna make up for it. And like you just mentioned, the Blaine Gabbert. So you already messed up there. Then you tried again and messed up again, and that all that right there points to why they had only one winning season since 2007. Like, because I forgot that somebody said the saying is like when you draft a QB and you're wrong, you messed up for another 5 years or something like that. And you think about it, that's what happens. I mean, you got that light in the bottle 2017, but if Borders was if he was a top 15 quarterback, they beat the Patriots. Like that's just what it is. And so it's crazy. So hopefully Trevor Lawrence is the guy. I think the difference is between those two and Lawrence was actually elite. Like I don't think
he's a generational talent. Like he's right there with Andrew Luck and John Elway type guys. He's a generational talent. Because
you can't sit here and say, "Oh, Blaine Gabbert was shoulders above everybody in college," or Mitch Trubisky was not Mitch. Oh, he's sorry too. Blake Bortles was shoulders above everybody in college, but Trevor Lawrence, that's a different story. So yeah, shout out to the Jaguars, and we'll see how far they can go. Let's move on to the last team, the team that won the division. The team that's, if at worst they're going to be 8-8. I guess this year 9-8 is their number if they're going to be anything. Tennessee Titans, 11-5 last season. Vegas has them at 9 wins. This team acquired Julio Jones. Now you got A.J. Brown with him and Derrick Henry. And Tannehill, when you put the numbers to Tannehill been starting against everybody else in the league, he is an elite quarterback. I'm sorry that Ryan Tannehill, the name you don't like, but the numbers are what the numbers are. And any metric, he's up there with Mahomes. He's up there with the Rodgers and the Russes. So he got to get some respect. He's definitely a top 10 quarterback in my book. If I'm doing the rankings, you got a top 2 back, in my opinion, Derrick Henry. And you probably had the best, if healthy, receiving duo in the league. So you got a lot of good things going your way. The Titans defense was the problem last year, but I think they're going to grow under Mike Vrabel, who's a defensive minded. There's no way he's going to sit here and let that happen again. In my opinion, I like everything about the Titans. They lost Arthur Smith, but they promoted their tight ends coach to OC, so not too much change on that side. So, I mean, the Titans basically a running back plus Julio. What you got?
Man. You gotta. The Titans are one of those teams where you gotta respect them.
You got to.
You gotta respect them because for years, man, they were walking mediocrity. 7-9, 8-8.
Well, we all know why, but another time.
No, that was being held back by Marcus mediocre. But now they have. I thought they made a great move at that time to go get Ryan Tannehill. And it's paid off huge for them. I mean, as a QB with the Titans, his record as a starter, 18-8. 67% completion percentage, 55 TDs to 13 INTs. And
come on,
you know the boy got some wheels on him. He's had a couple of rushing touchdowns too. So Tannehill has transformed the Titans offense. The Arthur Smith loss, I don't say hurt, but it's going to be a change because that's kind of the guy you got familiar with. So now you're going to have to learn a few different calls, a few different plays with the new OC. So I don't think it'll be a huge upheaval offensively, but just those little small things do play a part because guys knowing what plays to call in what sequence and in perfect moments, certain moments can turn one play that should have been just a standard 3-yard play into a breakaway play or something like it. It's a momentum play. And that stuff can change the entire game that won't show up on the stat sheet. So the Arthur Smith loss, I'm going to put some stock in that.
Okay.
Year 3 for the Titans. I'm wondering if there's going to start to be some frustration in the locker room because they had the crazy run. They knocked off Baltimore, made the AFC title game. And then, of course, this past year, they made the playoffs again. They're trying to make that deep playoff run.
That's all you got to check off. Yeah, you got to check that. You got to check that off this time.
Yeah, you're trying to make that deep playoff run. You made the move to go get Julio Jones. You paid Derrick Henry his money. AJ Brown is blossoming into elite wide receiver status. You paid Tannehill. So now it's like, we're going for it. Let's do it. Let's get there.
Let's do it. I'm about to say that's the last box to check. Can we win a Super Bowl? And I actually had that down. I said, well, high hopes. This is a team that has the high hopes in this division. I think the Colts are close to the Titans, but I think the Titans floor and ceiling is like floor here and the ceiling is Super Bowl, where I think the Colts, floor is a little lower than Titans, but ceiling can be right, 11, 12 wins, but probably not a Super Bowl contender-esque this year. But the Titans have everything they need. I think the defense will take a step up, and if that's the case, because they was ranked like 28. Like they won the top 25 last year. If they be anywhere between 17 and 23, like that's probably all you need to win a Super Bowl. And as long as the offense continue to click like they're supposed to be. So
I don't think so. I mean,
that's what it has to be if they want to win a Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah, like defensively, as long as you can show up in certain situations, you'll be fine. But I don't think
I'm gonna need a better ranking in stopping the run. If they can't stop the run, it can't get on the field. And that's where they have to improve, at least that part.
Yeah, like I don't think you want to keep putting your offense out there, having Derrick Henry take all these extra hits and carries. You're putting all this pressure on Tannehill's arm to win all these games. I'm with you, man. I think he's top 10, top 12. But at some point, when you keep running your offense out there, that's when injuries happen, more mistakes happen, stuff like that. So you need at least top half of the league defense. Like you can't be bottom 20. You need top half of the league in defense.
All right, well let's run through the rankings again before we get out of here. In the coachings, let's just go who we got at number 1. We both got
Mike Vrabel. Easy.
You got Mike Vrabel? All right, I got Frank Wright as my number 1 coach in that one. So but my flip flop. So I got Vrabel second. So those are 1 and 2.
I lied. I got Frank Wright too.
Oh, well, all right, let's rewind that. Let's rewind that. We both had number 1, Frank Wright, Vrabel number 2, Urban Meyer 3, and then Dave Culley as a low 4. Like he's a low 4. Like his number 4 is really low compared. And Urban Meyer's 3 is actually a high 3. So QBs real quick. We both just said Tannehill a top 10 to 12 QB in the league, so he's our number 1. And this without Watson here. Number 2, I had Trevor Lawrence. Are you sticking with? Are you going? You said earlier you going with because of what you know now, the information you have now. You going with Lawrence 2, and the Eason with the Wentz injury. You going them 3, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna go T-Law at 2 now.
And then you got Tyrod.
Got 2, but yeah, I'm gonna go T-Law.
And if you got Tyrod and Davis Mills and my boy Jeff Driscoll over there at a 4, because I don't know who's gonna start over there really. Roster, we talked about that, but we got Titans and Colts as two good rosters in the league, both above B pluses. And then the schedule, where we have Titans having the best schedule, it means having the most wins, having the team that's able to take on that first place schedule, even with playing Kansas City and playing Pittsburgh. So that they got lucky playing Pittsburgh instead of Baltimore, as far as a play schedule. So that's pretty good.
Yo, Titans have a tough stretch though, man. When you look at week 6 through week 10,
let me check.
Yeah, that's Buffalo at home, Kansas City at home, on the road to the Colts, on the road to the Rams, and then you're back home against the Saints.
Yeah, I agree. So you get 2 easy ducks with Jets and Jags, and then you hit that stretch. That's a tough stretch. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. To even the later on in the season, Pittsburgh, 49ers, Miami, but
you're jockeying for playoff season.
Good thing they had the Jacksonville Jaguars. Good thing they had the Houston Texans in their division. So my win total, I had the Titans winning 11 games, Colts at 8, Jags at 3, Texans at 1. What do you have?
I have the Titans at 11. I have the Jaguars at 5, Colts at 9, and Texans at 1.
Hey, so the Vegas said trust us, man. Trust the prophets on here. If you see the Texans number at 4.5, you take it quickly. You see 4, take it. Now 3.5, you might want to back off a little bit just in case they win week 1. But I like that. Titans over 9. That seems like a good one. And Jaguars 6.5. That's crazy as hell. Under. There's no way. I love Trevor Lawrence, but no way.
Yeah, with a rookie head coach, rookie QB, ETN and James Robinson in the backfield, I think you put your 401k on Jacksonville and Texans under.
There's no way. This could be a bad take if it come back to us, but there's no way. I don't see it. So we both had Titans winning the AFC South. Stick around for the rest of the divisions coming out. And also you can check the website beawildcard.com, where we go into more detail and show you the numbers of where the Titans stack up and the Colts stack up in the AFC South. And then, I mean, it's the playoff theory, man. We're gonna keep pushing it. Titans got the top 2 in quarterback and coach, so we should see them in the playoffs. That's you take that over to the bank, right? We got Colts what? Number 1 coach.
Yeah,
number 1 coach and number 3 QB. They almost had it. They almost had the lock. But the Carson was injury plays a role, and like
Quentin Nelson injury
that all plays a role. So we will assess the AFC South coming up. Mid season, see where Carson Wentz at, see where Easton's at, and whether they can get a top 2 coach and top 2 quarterback. So until next time, we are the Prophets, and we out.
The division 1 down, 7 more to go. Let's get ready.
Let's go. Let's get it.